found a spider. There's a spider over here. I wonder what happens. Wonder what'll happen. Just bite me! One of the most common practices among game developers is to take a popular movie or any recognized IP, analyze its key aspects, its characters, its stories, and try to convert all of that into a playable video game. And this is something that's been around for as long as video games have existed, and still sees success to this day. The one that I'm going to be talking about for this video is Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters ever created, so it's no surprise he appears in pretty much every form of media, from comic books, TV shows, to movies, and video games. Spider-Man first appeared in the Marvel comic books in the 1960s. These would follow the story of Peter Parker, who gets bitten by a radioactive spider, discovers new wall climbing and spider sense abilities, and becomes the Spider-Man. In 2002, the first live-action Spider-Man film would be released in theaters to critical and commercial success. After doing well with this movie, the director Sam Raimi would go on to direct 2 more movies in the same continuity. Each of these movies would get their own video game adaptation, released in the same year for all platforms. So the one that I'll be going over for this video is the second movie in this trilogy, its video game counterpart, and how they both incorporate different principles of design. Just make sure I have the right game here. Spider-Man 2. Well, this might be a problem. I can't tell these two apart. Okay. So, Spider-Man 2 divided by Spider-Man 2 is Spider-Man 1. I'll do Spider-Man 1 instead. I don't care anymore. Color is an important design principle in any form of media. It's an element used to indicate meaning as well as enhance aesthetics. The movie shows Spider-Man's suit to be in its iconic red and blue colors. The choice of colors helps make the character easily recognizable. You know exactly who this is just by taking one glance at him. It also helps him stand out from everything else in the environment, as if the web slinging wasn't enough of a giveaway. Rule of thirds is a common technique in composition. To create a shot that's more aesthetically pleasing, the frame gets divided into a 9x9 grid, and subjects are placed in the intersections of these lines. The movie uses this principle often throughout the film. So these principles that the movie follows also apply to its video game counterpart, with its use of color and rule of thirds for its in-game cutscenes. But when it comes to turning a movie into an interactive game, there are some more principles to consider. For instance, mapping. Mapping is an important principle with game design. It revolves around the relationship between the controls and the effects they have to the gameplay. Each button corresponds to a specific action for Spider-Man to carry out, which is exactly what the player expects to happen when they choose to press that button. Wayfinding refers to using information to navigate towards a destination. This is used in many open-world games like Assassin's Creed or Grand Theft Auto, where the player's objective is marked on a compass or a mini-map. In this Spider-Man game, one of the tools that the player has is a compass that shows which direction the next objective is. Given that this is a Spider-Man game, which has you climbing walls and stuff, cardinal direction alone isn't enough. That's where the height meter comes in, which shows your vertical position in relation to the objective's position. The red line represents the player, and the blue represents the objective. If you're below the objective, the red line will appear lower than the blue line. Lastly, one of the most important principles for any adaptation is storytelling. The movie starts with Peter's typical high school life, then one day gets bitten by the one true spider and transforms into the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. While doing your standard good deeds throughout New York, he has to keep his powers and identity a secret from everyone, while trying to balance his spider life with his regular, non-superhero responsibilities. Meanwhile, the villain of this movie, Norman Osborn, aka Green Goblin, is doing some bad stuff, and it's up to Spider-Man to stop him. The video game uses storytelling as well, through in-game dialogue and cutscenes. While it takes inspiration from the movie, the plot is structured a bit differently. They added some extra plot elements to the story, and also added new villains that never appeared in the movie.
I'm the Shocker. I tell tell you not to forget it, but you won't be around long enough to worry about that. Now say goodbye to Mr. Innocent Bystander, sucker.
These changes gave the developers more legroom to make a more engaging experience, as well as help it stand out a little from the movie. Back in the day, it was more common for developers to take the exact story of a movie and convert it word for word, beat for beat, in video game form. We don't really see that often today with video games. Of course, we still get video games today based on existing IPs, but they usually have their own original stories to go with it. We see this in games based on other Marvel characters. We see this with Batman, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Avatar, Lord of the Rings. We did get that Lego Star Wars game a while ago that was basically a word-for-word retelling of the entire saga. It must be a lot of work for the developers making a game for every Star Wars movie that's ever come out. Imagine how they feel knowing there's another trilogy in the works. Overall, Spider-Man the game was a pretty decent attempt at turning a movie into a video game, and I heard the sequel they made was even better. That they made the game more open world, they added a better mini-map, better objective markers, pizza delivery missions, improved swinging mechanics. Wait, you can deliver pizzas in this?
You made it, and on time. Good job. You made it, and on time.